Welcome, curious minds, to the Deep Dive. Today we're embarking on a truly captivating exploration, a deep dive into the foundational art of animation.
Yeah.
Forget the dazzling digital effects or the sprawling storylines for a moment. Before any of that magic happens, there's a surprisingly simple, universal tool that breathes life into it all. The humble sketchbook.
Yeah, it really is the cradle, isn't it? Where every animated world, every beloved character kind of takes its very first breath from that initial scribble.
Exactly. Our journey today is built upon, well, a remarkable collection of insights, primarily from a fantastic book that doesn't just teach sketching, but champions the sheer freedom and joy of it.
That's right. It draws wisdom from legendary artists like Peter Parr and many other esteemed creators. It's a real treasure trove.
Our mission today isn't just to summarize, is to extract the most potent insights and surprising facts from this wealth of knowledge.
Yeah, we want to give you, our listener, a true shortcut to being well informed about this often overlooked yet absolutely critical aspect of animation.
Whether you're a curious learner, an aspiring artist, or just prepping for your own creative endeavors, you'll hopefully uncover the essence of how these incredible animated worlds and characters truly come to life.
Starting right from that unassuming mark on paper. So let's unlock the magic.
Okay, let's start by unpacking the core idea that underpins everything.
Yeah.
The sketchbook itself. What immediately struck me in these sources is that sketching isn't merely about technical skill.
No, not at all.
It's presented as something profoundly enjoyable, playful, and incredibly personal. It's your own low-cost, unique space where you can literally externalize your thoughts.
Give them a tangible form, yeah.
Seeing your ideas right there in front of you on paper is just such a powerful way to build confidence in your creative vision.
And what's truly fascinating here is how this seemingly simple act of sketching cultivates a deep curiosity and sharpens observational skills.
Right.
Skills that stick with an artist throughout their entire life and career. This isn't just for students, you know?
No, definitely not.
The book shows it plays a central, continuous role for teachers, illustrators, animators, filmmakers, everyone. It's a habit that really transforms how you see the world.
And here's where it gets really interesting, I think. The book describes sketching as a form of performance art.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
When you're observing and interpreting what you see, it's not just about replicating. It involves becoming your subject.
Imagine that you're embodying it, sensing its contours, feeling its movements. It's quite profound.
This active engagement helps break down creative barriers, allowing for truly uninhibited mark making.
Yeah, it's about learning to trust your eye and your hand in a dynamic response to the world around you. It's very immediate.
If we connect this to the broader picture, it suggests that sketching is almost a meditative act, a unique form of mental and physical preparation.
The book puts it beautifully. It develops your ability to look, draw, and refresh your sense of well-being.
Refresh your sense of well-being. I like that.
It's an art form that continually renews your creative spirit, feeding your insights and observations back into your artistic process. It's a cycle.
Now let's talk about something we all do, seemingly idly. The doodle. Those playful, relaxing marks on a napkin, the back of an envelope.
We have all done it.
But the sources reveal these aren't just idle scribbles. They can be the actual springboard for legendary stories, for iconic character designs, for intricate layouts.
They're especially potent in collaborative work, apparently, because a quick sketch can provide a definitive visual that cuts through confusion and saves a ton of time.
Ah, that makes sense. It's the universal language of nascent ideas.
And this really reinforces a profound concept about creativity itself. Those initial scribbles, no matter how pointless they might seem, they can hold the very genesis of a groundbreaking idea. The clear message for you, our listener, is never to dismiss a notion before giving it a chance to materialize on paper.
Just sketch it out.
Exactly. Sketch it out, even with the simplest shapes, because you never know what it might become. It's where raw inspiration takes its first breath.
That's a powerful takeaway. And on the practical side, there's an ongoing discussion in the art world about traditional paper sketchbooks versus digital tablets.
Always a hot topic.
The book acknowledges the convenience of digital tools, of course, but it highlights a crucial point. Many digital artists creating incredible work today hone their fundamental skills with physical paper and traditional implements.
That's really interesting. So that tactile practice with pencils, pens, paper instills an inherent flexibility and foundational understanding.
Yeah, and it surprisingly transfers to the digital realm. making their digital work truly sing. It's like learning the grammar first.
What's truly insightful, I think, is the idea of the sketchbook as a personal archive and a living memory aid.
Oh, definitely.
Peter Parr, the author, describes his own sketchbook as constant lifelong companions. They fostered his curiosity and developed his observational skills so profoundly that they became central to his entire career.
As a teacher, illustrator, animator.
Yeah, all of it. They're more than just drawings, they're a repository of his evolving vision.
He shares a wonderful anecdote about his art student days in Wigan in the UK. He became an obsessive sketcher, drawing everywhere on buses, in car parks, at fairgrounds.
Carrying his sketchbook like the badge of my trade.
And he even overheard bus passengers calling him a bohemian.
That's brilliant! But he explains that this initial vanity quickly transformed into deep commitment as he became engrossed, just filling page after page.
Right, his sketchbooks evolved into a tangible timeline, a vital resource for testing materials, and a constant companion for learning from masters.
They truly become a valued traveling companion, acting almost like a passport to life.
That's a lovely phrase.
For example, when he visited Venice, he anticipated the city's unique atmosphere by pulling out a concertina sketchbook.
An accordion-like format. Clever.
Yeah. It allowed him to freely sketch immediate glimpses and capture the city's unique energy, perfectly suited for seizing the essence of his short stay. It's about being prepared, ready to capture inspiration whenever it strikes.
And this is where the idea of the sketchbook as a memory aid takes on a slightly magical quality. The spooky habit of old sketches springing from the past.
Ah, yes, the Dorset cottage.
He shares that example, right? A ruined cottage he sketched, long forgotten, but then years later, it was resurrected as a background for a children's series called Topper's Tales.
It underscores a powerful, often overlooked truth. Drawing, unlike simply taking a photo, actively commits an image to your memory.
It forces you to look deeply, doesn't it? To internalize what you see.
Exactly. And that enriched memory then truly fuels future work. It's an active process of knowing and storing, far beyond just passive observation.
This often raises an important question for many aspiring artists, though. The common discomfort of sketching in public.
Oh yeah, that can be really intimidating.
The book offers a beautiful reframing of this. It suggests that onlookers' curiosity, far from being judgmental, is often a form of compliment.
People are drawn to the magic of drawing, especially those who wish they could draw themselves. It's intriguing.
So, the advice is clear. Embrace it. Your sketchbook can be an open invitation to connect with the world around you. Don't hide it away.
At a great perspective.
With that fascinating foundation laid, let's move into part 1, the foundational toolkit, diving into drawing and sketching techniques.
All right, let's get practical.
We'll start where every artist begins, building with simple shapes, which the book affectionately calls the animator's alphabet.
I love that term.
This fundamental approach, encouraged from the very start of an artist's journey, is to use these simple shapes to analyze and develop even the most complex images.
And it's a method that truly sticks with you throughout your entire career. It's not just beginner stuff.
Think about a child's journey. Their scribbles are initially free and uninhibited, but as they grow, those scribbles naturally evolve into mastered strokes and signs.
Vertical and horizontal lines, then natural curved lines and circles. Soon, circles combined with lines become recognizable faces, people, animals. The confidence is inherent.
The challenge for us as adults is that we often demand too much accuracy too soon, right? We forget that underlying simplicity.
Exactly, we get hung up on perfection.
So the liberating advice is to rediscover this underlying simplicity of form, to regain that childlike confidence and belief in your drawings.
It's about giving every notion a chance on paper, because even a seemingly pointless scribble can truly be the genesis of a groundbreaking idea.
And the simplest, most potent building blocks are the big three.
The square, the circle, and the triangle.
These basic two-dimensional shapes are surprisingly powerful. They are genuinely sufficient to communicate your initial ideas and can form incredibly elaborate patterns and designs.
Their versatility is beautifully illustrated by the work of German-American abstract animator Oskar Fickinger. His film work just vibrates with music and complex meaning.
Using only these simple forms, it shows how they can be charged with profound meaning and kinetic energy.
And it's not just for abstract art either. Contemporary examples like Matt Cruikshank's vibrant Houses of Parliament illustration.
Or his cheeky parrot for Treasure Island.
Exactly. They clearly show how these simple shapes form the structural foundations for analyzing and constructing even the most complex subjects.
It allows an artist to consider and balance color and form before getting bogged down in overwhelming details. It's a smart way to start.
The book then explains the natural transition from these 2D shapes to their 3D counterparts. The circle becomes a sphere, the triangle a cone, and the square a cube or a cylinder.
And this is where the concept of foreshortening, that illusion of depth on a flat surface, really starts to come into play.
Yeah, as shapes begin to overlap and appear to recede in space.
And instead of seeing overlapping shapes as a problem, the book beautifully reframes it as a refreshing way to observe truth and understand how to draw 3D objects on a 2D surface.
Like the Louvre pyramid example, where the glass allows the underlying building to show through, creating that sense of layered depth.
Or Guillermo Garcia Carci's Bukoyo elephant Ele. That playful pattern of overlaid shapes abstractly transforms into a recognizable, empathetic character.
It's about drawing what you see in reality, not just what your brain thinks it knows about an object. Really looking.
This approach often requires a personal touch, modulating the pressure on your drawing instrument.
Yes. Varying your pencil line from pale to dark, thick to thin. It helps define solidity and depth in these forms.
It literally sculpts them into a three-dimensional presence on the page.
It's a subtle but powerful way to communicate form. Really makes a difference.
Ultimately, the consistent message is that simplifying complex forms into these basic shapes isn't just an exercise. It dramatically speeds up the drawing process.
And with practice, becomes incredibly intuitive. It's about establishing the skeleton before applying the detail.
Leads to greater confidence and conviction in your final drawing, I'd imagine.
Absolutely.
Moving from these foundational shapes, let's tackle a concept that can intimidate many.
Perspective.
Oh boy, perspective. But the book provides a wonderfully practical guide, emphasizing that it doesn't need to be overly complicated to achieve dramatic effects.
Like making foreground objects appear massive and distant ones beautifully small. That classic effect.
The core elements are surprisingly straightforward once you understand them. First, your eye level, or EL.
Which is simply a horizontal line separating the sky from the ground, representing your eye height. Your horizon line, essentially.
Then your standpoint, or SP, which is your position relative to the view, where you're standing.
And finally, the vanishing point, or VP, that magical spot on the horizon where parallel lines appear to converge in the distance.
Shifting these basic elements like your EL and SP immediately creates different compositional designs.
Allowing you to control the feeling and drama of your image, it gives you real power.
The book simplifies practical exercises like drawing a series of posts or railway tracks receding into the distance.
Yeah, it shows how to precisely space objects so they diminish accurately towards that distant vanishing point. It demystifies it.
What's particularly clever is how this says it can flip to create converging parallel tracks, or how foreshortening, vividly seen in a tramcar example, creates dramatic depth.
Making objects appear to shrink and turn as they move towards profile. It's a constant reminder to trust what your eyes actually see.
Right, rather than what your memory tells you a scene should look like. That's key.
This brings us to a key insight about conquering deep space. While accurate, measured perspectives are incredibly useful, the book suggests that for fluid sketching, trusting your eye for estimation can often give your drawings a more natural truth and spontaneity.
Finding that balance between precision and instinct.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It stops things from looking too stiff or mechanical.
For one-point perspective, the guide explains how simply connecting the corners of a square to a single vanishing point creates solid rectangular blocks.
It even shows how a faint initial grid, like the Ludlow coach yard example, can subtly influence your drawing without strict adherence.
Creating an organic yet structured feel to the scene.
Nice. Then there's two-point or angular perspective, which creates even greater realism. By extending the vanishing points off the page, you reduce exaggeration.
Making objects appear less angular and more natural, as beautifully illustrated in the Valley of the Temples in Sicily.
Crucially, this is vital for designing animated layouts where characters need to stand convincingly on surfaces like patios or grand cathedral floors.
It gives them a real sense of place, grounds them.
Totally. The book even demystifies the process of drawing a floor grid, showing how changing your eye level dramatically affects the patterns of the sky or ground.
It's about building a solid, believable foundation for your animated world.
And for injecting true power and might into your scenes, three-point or oblique perspective comes into play.
This adds a third vanishing point, often far off the page.
empowering you to draw freehand perspective in what the book calls a crazy world, like looking dramatically up at a very tall building where even vertical lines appear to converge.
This skill is invaluable for creating views with greater drama and realism, allowing you to interpret complex structures.
Now, a common real-world challenge: hidden vanishing points. Especially in hillside towns where the eye level and vanishing points might be obscured by the terrain.
Right, what do you do then?
The advice is simple. Believe what you see and map multiple, sometimes unseen, vanishing points.
The example of a road clinging to the contour of a hill perfectly illustrates this. You need to visualize that hidden vanishing point, even if it's not directly visible.
Training your eye to see the subtle curves and spatial relationships, it takes practice.
This section concludes with a fun assignment to really solidify your understanding. Think small, sketch big.
I like the sound of that.
It challenges you to manipulate perspective by imagining yourself smaller than objects in a still life, forcing you to see the enlarged world from a tiny viewpoint.
This playful exercise truly hones your understanding of scale and drama within perspective, pushing you to see the familiar in a completely new light. That sounds really useful.
Moving from abstract shapes and rigid lines, we now enter a much more organic realm, bringing figures and animals to life.
Yes, the living stuff.
The book emphasizes two complementary methods crucial for animators: speed sketching and sustained study drawing.
Speed sketching is about capturing the life of the pose with a line of action and raw energy,
while sustained study provides the essential anatomical knowledge needed to draw with conviction.
These two approaches truly reinforce each other. You need both.
Animator Matt Timms, for example, focuses intensely on energy and force the line of action balance and structure note details in his quick sketches.
He speaks of a magic in his rapid, structured pen lines like those of camels, which are based on deep, sustained observation.
The goal isn't necessarily a beautifully rendered drawing then.
Not in the quick sketch, no. It's capturing the essence of the pose and its underlying kinetic energy, getting the feeling down.
This idea of performance resonates deeply here. The book suggests that sketching figures is a performance.
And animators must think with the intent of an actor to truly convey story and emotion through their timed phrasing.
Like a concert pianist whose entire bodily action influences the notes they play.
Exactly. Glenn Keane's ballerina sketch is cited as a perfect example where he masterfully captured both fluidity and muscular strength.
Hinting at the bone and muscle structure beneath without explicit detail, it's implied.
When it comes to building figures and animals, we're reminded again of starting with simple shapes, much like the evolution from a stickman.
Circular shapes are particularly sympathetic to 3D forms, apparently.
And the drawing tool itself can emulate traveling around and through the figure, even sensing unseen forms like underlying bones or muscles.
That helps define the spatial solidity and volume of the figure, like sculpting with line.
Line quality is a crucial yet often overlooked aspect here. It's not just about creating an outline,
which can make a shape look flat, right?
Yeah, exactly. Instead, it's about a nuanced modulation from pale to dark, thick to thin, interpreting those hidden structures beneath the surface.
The common tram lines, mistake endlessly drawing dark, stiff lines around the perimeter, is highlighted as something to consciously avoid.
And the book emphasizes the benefit of retaining your underdrawing as it serves as a history trail of your artistic decisions and corrections.
Often adds life, doesn't it? Seeing the process.
Absolutely. For shading, the book covers hatching and cross-hatching, which are about carefully considered strokes that follow the form.
And for charcoal, smudging with a putty rubber can achieve a beautiful transparency.
Much like the sensual qualities seen in Edgar Degas's pastel drawings, a putty rubber, we learn, isn't just for erasing. It's a valuable drawing tool for sculpting light and form.
Isabel Stenhouse's life drawing portfolio is highlighted as a testament to determination and passion.
She prefers charcoal, pastels, and ink for quick, bold marks, and offers a brilliant practical tip. Always check negative spaces for proportion.
Especially for challenging elements like hands and feet. That's smart.
She underscores the immense value of drawing from life as much as possible. Nothing beats it.
This leads us to the ongoing discussion of sketching from life versus other sources. Animator Francis Pang profoundly believes you are surrounded by models for free.
And Glenn Keane's couple in the park sketch beautifully illustrates this. Capturing a young man carefully avoiding disturbing his girlfriend, It's about finding inspiration in everyday
The
moments.
sources also suggest sketching from television, dance, sport, or musicians.
This is a brilliant, accessible way to train your eye and memory, drawing from rapid cascades of images and repetitive patterns like dancers or the Olympics.
It forces you to be incredibly quick and selective with your observations, distilling complex motion into essential lines. Good practice.
The case study of The Great Race by Jeff King and Beth Witchels truly underscores the commitment required for animal animation.
Jeff King, tasked with animating a complex human riding a horse, spent an entire summer meticulously studying horses.
Their anatomy, video footage, making pencil test after pencil test.
Wow. He emphasizes starting from the inside with bone and muscle structure to animate from imagination with absolute believability.
He preferred pen because it forced confidence and pre-thought, simplifying shapes into spheres, boxes, and cylinders for skeletons, as seen in his natural history museum studies.
This meticulous research allowed the team to handle all the four-legged animals with remarkable conviction. That's dedication.
It really is.
Now let's explore how animators capture the scapes land, town, and sea to build truly immersive worlds brimming with atmosphere.
Building those worlds, yeah.
The book actively encourages you, the listener, to enjoy looking at and drawing these for both research and sheer pleasure. It's about building your visual vocabulary.
Communicating a landscape, the book reveals, requires empathizing with the land itself. It involves using sensual modulations of your drawing instrument.
To imitate light, space, and form. Think of sculptor Barbara Hepworth, who famously felt she became the landscape when driven through the hills and valleys of Yorkshire.
This deep, intense inner engagement allows your pencil lines to literally hug every contour, recording every rise and fall of the ground, giving your drawing a palpable sense of three-dimensionality.
We revisit the concept of point of view from our earlier discussion on perspective, showing how simple patterns of horizontal and vertical lines can immediately create landscapes.
From flat horizons to sweeping mountains and valleys. And contour lines are key here. They aren't just outlines, but rather sculpt 3D surfaces like hills or roadways.
Or even express moving waves and troughs draped in seafoam.
The examples of a Scottish landscape where pencil strokes hug every contour and a Perthshire landscape playing a game of contradictions with grayscale perfectly illustrate how these lines create a powerful sense of form and depth.
The immediacy of rapid sketches from a train window is also highlighted.
Capturing salient features and fleeting impressions as the world rushes by, that's a challenge.
And studies from high vantage points, like those in Ronda and Andalusia, can create richly patterned images that don't rely on strict perspective for their effect,
but rather on captivating color patches and loose, suggestive lines, capturing the feel.
What's particularly inspiring is how personal observation can blossom into celebrated, non-narrative works. John Canemaker's Academy Award-winning lyrical animated film, Bridgehampton,
was directly inspired by his garden paintings. He transformed intense periods of painting his own garden into a film, using his watercolor and gouache impressions as a basis for storyboards.
It's a beautiful example of how profound inspiration can be found in the quiet, everyday beauty of your own surroundings.
For townscapes, the book unpacks the elements of diagonals and horizontals, textured lines, and color. It uses a clever flat tack analogy for assembling imaginary buildings.
The example of Broad Street, Ludlow, with its superimposed grid, shows how simplifying objects and then adding authentic texture can bring a place to life.
Even without perfect architectural accuracy, capturing its unique character.
And then there's Andy Council's truly unique Dinosaur City illustrations. Have you seen those?
Oh yeah, they're incredible. He researches real locations by gathering photos and maps, then masterfully distorts and curves perspective to integrate landmarks directly into creature shapes.
He explains how he starts with a rough dinosaur shape to fit the road layout, and then uses his research to make landmarks like a church become a good head crest.
It's a brilliant fusion of factual observation and wildly imaginative distortion, creating something entirely new yet strangely familiar. So creative.
Shifting to seascapes, the book acknowledges their magnetic attraction and inherent power to evoke strong emotions.
Capturing changing light with soft pencils and a putty rubber, as seen in the Rockaway's Boulder Groin, or using simple ink lines to define dramatic serpentine highways.
All demonstrate the artist's ability to translate the sea's ever-shifting moods onto paper.
The case study of Sea Fever by Tom Massey, Daisy Gids, and Laura Roberts truly brings this to life. Inspired by John Masefield's poem, they took an experimental approach.
Bravely using paint as an animation medium.
Their research trip to Cornwall for observational drawings was crucial, emphasizing that drawing from life captures a vibrancy and feeling that photos simply cannot.
Especially when portraying the raw power of the elements. It allowed them to capture the nightmarish quality for the film's beginning.
Creating an abstract, organic method, beautifully supported by a grandfather's reading of the poem for the soundtrack. Really powerful stuff.
Beyond the grandscapes, the book delves into the other stuff in between. The everyday bric-a-brac of life that furnishes locations and adds character.
Drawing trees, for instance, offers a wonderful opportunity to truly experience the space they occupy, anticipating and reflecting their energy and rhythm.
Examples range from the sacred Miyajima to the sprawling Forbidden City and the weeping Delaware willows.
Showing how different drawing tools can capture their unique character and spatial presence.
And this leads us to the profound concept of mark making to evoke an emotional response.
This is key. The choice of drawing material, whether it's a quill, a brush pen, or charcoal, profoundly influences the mood and emotional tone of your drawing.
Michael Dudok DeWitt, the Academy Award-winning animator of Father and Daughter, is a master of this. He famously used charcoal, often applied with his fingertips on smooth paper.
Finding it incredibly fast and expressive for his evocative backgrounds, that texture is so distinct.
What's particularly insightful about DeWitt's technique is his symbolic choice of sepia for most of the film, enhancing its nostalgic, timeless quality.
But using a grayish blue for the main character, the woman, to make her a recognizable feature from start to finish. Such a subtle but effective choice.
This meticulous attention to controlled mark making and material choice allows artists to imitate surface textures with incredible conviction.
From the weathered boats of Malta and antique auction lots to the gleaming finish of a 1914 Rolls-Royce, making every line count emotionally and visually.
Finally, in part one, we arrive at the art of capturing movement, which is quite naturally pivotal to all drawing, but especially for animation.
The very essence of animation, really.
The core idea here is phrasing your mark making with an inner meditative response, leading to what the sources call true performance drawing.
It's about feeling the rhythm and energy of what you draw and letting that dictate your hand, not just copying outlines.
Nature provides countless lessons here, observing ocean waves, for instance, and their rhythmic patterns.
Then experimenting with different drawing instruments, like using a crow's feather quill for accidental splashes reminiscent of sea spray, can capture their essence, power, and dynamic energy.
A single drawing, the book suggests, should imply a past, a present, and a future, an entire narrative within a single pose. That's a high bar.
It is, but it's what makes drawings feel alive. The line of action is described as the foundational energy behind the idea, whether it's crashing waves, the slithering movement of a snake, or the graceful arc of a ballerina.
It's about drawing the inner force lines and rhythm of your subject, even without adding a single detail.
Children instinctively vocalize sound effects as they draw, and the book suggests this helps you believe in your drawing and fully engage in the process. Make the whoosh sound.
I can see that. Dance is a particularly rich subject for capturing movement.
Brush pen sketches of continuous movement, anticipating and even predicting the dancer's next move, brilliantly train both memory and observation.
As beautifully shown in studies of a Chinese folk dancer or the pieces from the language of the dance.
This consistent practice is key to developing the profound ability to conceive and draw action from pure imagination.
Sport offers similar dynamic tension, moments of euphoria and pathos, encouraging drawing from newspaper pictures and television to constantly reinforce observational skills.
And musicians provide wonderful motivation for energetic performance, even challenging you to quickly capture buskers who won't hold still.
Requiring rapid captures and then refinement later, it's all about training your eye to see and your hand to respond instantly.
Everyday observations are highlighted as continuous, indispensable practice, vital for maintaining and sharpening your skill.
Peter Parr's example of adapting Trafalgar Square sketches for a 19th century Seville scene, simply by changing dress codes and exchanging bikes for mules, perfectly illustrates this.
It shows how deeply observing human body language allows for flexible, believable application across wildly different contexts. It's the underlying movement that counts.
It's about maintaining a personal sketchbook to develop your unique signature style, avoiding any artificiality in your dynamic drawings.
The case study of Joanne Quinn, a BAFTA Award winner and Academy Award nominee, truly showcases the power of this practice. Her sketchbooks are just overflowing with life and movement.
She has a distinct method for capturing personality, like patiently waiting for someone to laugh, prioritizing key, fleeting information, how the eyes scrunch, how the mouth curls.
And working incredibly fast with an absolute economy of line, just the essentials.
What's truly fascinating is how her sketchbooks serve not just as inspiration, but as literal reference books and a blueprint for her films, like Dreams and Desires, Family Ties.
She often avoids redrawing, preferring to photocopy her original sketches directly.
Wow, really?
Yeah. This practice helps her retain the purity of the original thought and the raw vitality of her initial energy, actively avoiding the kind of over-refinement that can sometimes kill spontaneity.
That makes so much sense. Fantasy and body language also come vibrantly alive through the exploration of movement.
Doodles, those initial uninhibited scribbles, can easily evolve into distinct vaudeville characters, and the sources demonstrate varied approaches to interpreting movement beyond traditional forms.
Embracing dynamic combinations of 2D drawing, 3D model making, photography, and stop motion.
The Train of Thought case study by Leo Bridle and Ben Thomas is a fantastic example. Their unique paper world animated short involved an incredible flurry of creativity.
And significant organizational needs for an 11-person team, I bet.
They gained invaluable confidence in technical drawing, model making, and pioneered a cutout pixelation technique for their figures, meticulously detailing their entire production in daily diaries.
Which proved invaluable for staying on track, I'm sure.
Finally, for capturing movement, the book touches on inspiration from classical mythology. The story of Actaeon and Diana from Ovid's Metamorphoses is used as a compelling example.
Of researching expressive forms of animation for rhythm and storytelling.
It's about pacing out mood with evocative sketches and experimenting with mixed media to convey moments of metamorphosis, allowing the story's inherent energy to drive every single drawing and transformation.
Now we transition into part 2, designing the animated world, focusing on design and development.
Okay, taking those sparks and building something bigger.
This section is where those initial ideas begin to truly evolve into concrete characters and sweeping animated layouts. It's where the vision really starts to take shape.
We begin, fittingly, by revisiting doodles as the kernel of a great idea or story. The book emphasizes that it's our natural impulse to share thoughts.
And ideas often germinate when the mind is quiet, creating fertile ground for imaginative doors to open.
Even a seemingly pointless scribble can lead to significant celebrated work, as seen in the carefree sketches of Hannah Parr or the vibrant spreads from Matthew Parr's tiny pocket notebook.
The core idea here is that it simply takes the nerve to materialize those fleeting thoughts. Just get them out.
This notion of looking back, did you say something? Delves into how visual thinkers, like animator Richard Santz, organically develop stories from their sketchbooks.
Describing his process as a stream of consciousness, he famously works on the back of a napkin principle.
Piecing together entire films from random thumbnail ideas, often simultaneously working on character design, animation mechanics, composition, and story without a strict linear process.
It's fluid, intuitive, and deeply personal. Sounds chaotic, but effective.
This individual preparation and development process is seen across many animators. Borivoje Divnikovic, a pioneer of Croatian animation, sometimes worked without storyboards for freshness.
Animating directly from a screenplay.
He believed that too much rigid pre-planning could lead to a loss of creative spontaneity. His film Second Class Passenger was created this way.
While One Day of Life stemmed from years of mulling over observations of workers and their daily routines, showcasing deep, sustained artistic immersion. Different approaches.
It's truly inspiring to see how basic sketchbook ideas can blossom into engaging, child-friendly projects like the RAD zine by Sheeran and Byron Parr.
This read and draw project for kids and parents started from Siren's initial sketchbook ideas, evolving characters and a distinct hand-drawn aesthetic.
Then transforming into simple GIF animations, turning basic scribbles into interactive, delightful fun. From sketchbook to screen, literally.
Beyond personal observation, broader sources of inspiration are crucial. The book highlights how appropriated words and images can ignite ideas.
Such as W.H. Auden's poem on Peter Bruegel's painting, profoundly influencing Peter Parr's work on Circles of Deceit.
Music and dance are also powerful muses, like Peter Parr's Summer Dream, a film deeply inspired by dance and music, noted for its masterful observation of structure and pose.
And here's where it gets really interesting. Carlo Vogeli, a CG animator at Pixar, has a truly unique approach to animating everyday objects.
He made Una Furtiva Legima, based on a Caruso recording, about a black bass lamenting its fate from fish market to frying pan.
Yes, he literally animated a dead fish, using its bones for structure and invisible thread for movement. He even used his laundry cart as a camera dolly.
That's incredible. Resourceful.
He finds profound emotional life in seemingly inanimate objects, whether it's a singing fish or sizzling food in his film Worst.
Vocally offers practical, offbeat tips for stop motion, like avoiding consistent daylight and using the freezer to control the thawing of his fish actors.
Huh, brilliant. He notes that the first sketch of an idea always seems to be the best one, like a raw Xerox of your brain, full of initial excitement before the inevitable agony of polishing begins.
I can relate to that. It's a testament to raw, immediate creativity. Animation can also be a powerful agent for difficult subject matter, as seen in animating socially sensitive issues.
Nick White's student film Lullaby, which bravely tackled child abuse, is a prime example.
The director emphasized the deep learning process involved in guiding a team, and the immense value of acting sessions for observing and capturing the little idiosyncrasies of movement for true realism.
It profoundly demonstrates that animation is far more than just light entertainment. It can be a vehicle for powerful social commentary.
This leads us to an important, thought-provoking question. What about creating non-narrative animation?
This form challenges traditional storytelling, relying instead on pure imagery, evocative movement, or resonant sound for meaning, rather than a conventional plot.
John Frame, a sculptor and filmmaker whose work is often exhibited in galleries, suggests his art isn't about anything in a traditional sense.
But it carries meaning on its own terms, best understood by simply looking and letting go of traditional narrative expectations. It's more experiential.
Amy Kravitz, specializing in abstract animation, beautifully sees it as a discovery process, with sketchbooks serving as laboratories for research and development, treasure boxes.
Where ideas can be developed without worrying about their direct, immediate purpose, just exploring.
Steven Subotnick, another abstract animator, gets his initial ideas from books and articles, allowing his artwork to lead the way without preconceived plans.
Fostering exploration, evolution, and surprise in his creative process, letting the work guide him.
John Frame's stop-motion sculptures exude thoughts, feelings, and emotions. His unique working method allows for truly unexpected discoveries.
Like the grass-growing scene in The Tale of the Crippled Boy, where he painstakingly photographed real grass growing over 8 days before animating his character on top of it. Wow.
And Joe Sheehan, another stop-frame animator, focuses on the subtle passage of time and profound stillness, finding renewing qualities in everyday subjects, elevating the mundane to the mesmerizing.
And finally, in this section, we touch on games development. Reese Millage, an independent game developer, famously uses notepads during his commutes.
To battle between visual aesthetic and interactive experience, as seen in his award-winning games Wonder Putt and Ice Cycle.
He finds sketchpads absolutely crucial for releasing uninhibited ideas, allowing him to seamlessly drift between sketches, thumbnails, and layouts, often accompanied by extensive written notes that detail game mechanics.
This approach ensures that the visual design and game mechanics profoundly support each other without compromise. He's constantly battling on paper to achieve this delicate balance.
Iterating and refining ideas. The section concludes with a fun animator's block assignment, encouraging you to use the back of business cards to trigger new scenarios and overcome creative blocks.
Proving that inspiration truly can be found anywhere, even in the most unexpected places.
Now let's peek into the rich backstory of how characters truly come to life, from that initial concept sketch to their fully mature animated form.
Yes, crafting characters, personality in every line. Character designers take verbal descriptions and masterfully translate them into shapes that explore distinct features and mannerisms.
Literally imbuing personality into a drawing, giving it life.
Nature-informing fantasy is a key guiding principle here. Observation of human movement and even unlikely sources like twisting willow branches merging with human anatomy to create a ghoul for the lion, the witch, and the wardrobe can inspire deeply imaginative characters.
While sketchbook studies capture reality, the book emphasizes they often need thoughtful simplification and exaggeration for animation due to their inherent complexity.
Distilling their essence,
right?
Not just copying.
Exactly. The model sheet is introduced as the crucial audition stage for characters. This is where drawings are meticulously adjusted for performance.
ensuring absolute consistency in style, shape, and proportion as different animators work on the same character across the production. Super important.
Body language is paramount for audience engagement, whether it's students chatting at the Hiroshima Festival or a Gujarati puppeteer, because it powerfully communicates personality and intention without a single word.
What's in a line? Explores how pencil pressure and line quality, from constrained and stiff to energetic and fluid, can dramatically inject or inhibit life into even the simplest stick figures and roughs.
A modulating line, varying from thick to thin, conveys underlying tension and therefore a sense of lived experience, hinting at the hidden structure beneath the surface.
Avoiding stiff, static tram lines is key to making a drawing feel alive.
Got it. And it all begins with characters begin with a story. Before any meaningful design work can truly begin, you need to deeply consider the character's role within the narrative.
And how an actor's understanding of that role can profoundly help the designer.
This leads to a fundamental animation principle, the flour sack exercise.
The classic flour sack.
That seems like a simple volume, but it teaches fundamental animation principles like lively timing and staging, and crucially, squash and stretch.
As the sack falls and hits the ground, its different parts move at different speeds, demonstrating how a solid form can distort while magically maintaining its overall volume.
This basic yet profound information translates directly to characters and even their clothing, showing how secondary moving parts interact to create believable motion. It's foundational.
Now let's open the character gallery and see how these principles are applied. Tori Davis's raccoon, for instance,
was animated specifically to explore weight and movement using that core sack concept. She focuses on simple, bold shapes for clear emotion and thoughtful exaggeration.
ensuring the character's action reads clearly, even for the youngest audiences.
Guillermo Garcia Carci's Pucoyo designs classic cartoon characters, but imbues them with defined, contrasting, and empathetic personalities.
Deliberately escaping what he calls idealistic representations of childhood. And he even created wonderfully useless creatures for Doomed.
As a reaction to overly saccharine preschool animation, always emphasizing that the line of action is the character's mind at work. A profound insight into character animation.
Sarah Gomes Harris's Sarah and Duck evolved from charming, wonky little creatures to more symmetrical, distinctive designs with delightful, tactile watercolor effects added.
She speaks candidly about the challenge of designing characters for preschoolers, like the enigmatic Scarf Lady, and the importance of allowing initial ideas to be demented and silly before reining them in.
Jolnuf da Silva's Bale showcases how a couple's dance fluidly morphs into musical instruments and rhythmic color, using curving, organic shapes to convey energy without any dialogue.
His model sheets vividly show the exaggerated musicians, emphasizing how design alone can wonderfully surmise the energy of an entire soundtrack. Visual music.
Louis Neuber's rough animation notes offer practical, immediate tips. Treat the eye and eyebrow as one expressive unit. Identify horizontal contour lines to convey volume.
And always look for naturally flexible elements within a design that can be distorted for dynamic effect. He links simple, appealing shapes directly with emotion and undeniable presence,
forming the bedrock of successful character design.
The example of setting the Three Little Pigs in the 16th century powerfully illustrates the absolute importance of meticulous research for both characters and settings.
A sketchbook becomes invaluable here, helping the artist to unearth period-appropriate details for pigs, wolves, and architecture,
ensuring both credibility and a rich source of inspiration for their designs. Research is key.
In our animator and artist gallery, Tom Mead's biomechanical anthropomorphism is revealed to be deeply driven by childhood fears.
A cathartic process using pen and ink and dense, layered hatching for his dark, surreal cityscapes, as strikingly seen in Siren.
He deliberately uses hollow eyes to dehumanize characters, explicitly taking away their souls for a very specific, chilling effect.
Wow. Showing the power of subtle visual choices. And Uli Meyer, a renowned animator and director, provides invaluable self-critique from his If Only booth.
He offers exceptionally insightful tips. Eyes, he says, speak volumes about a character's inner life. Always use a mirror to spot errors.
His little Beethoven was flat until he used one. Thoroughly research anatomy, like a badger's body. Understand period costume, John Beard. Master caricature, Christopher Walken.
And grasp perspective, chap holding a glass. Crucially, he advises adding meaning to your drawings to truly bring characters to life.
Citing how a simple dachshund head became a hilarious sausage dog gag just by adding a tiny detail, he believes every drawing is a journey to solve a creative problem.
Now that our characters are ready, we need to build a compelling stage for them. Let's delve into building worlds, layout, and background design.
Setting the scene.
This aspect of animation is crucial because it creates the entire stage world for the animated action, providing essential mood and atmosphere.
It's truly the backbone of the craft, requiring a deep technical understanding from the entire production team. It's not just pretty pictures.
The familiar border of your sketchbook page effectively represents the screen frame itself. Animators and layout artists use transparent grids, known as gradicules, and field guides,
to precisely measure the field area, that is, the exact part of the image that will be photographed or rendered. This meticulous measurement ensures absolute consistency and accuracy.
Camera moves are intricately plotted using these transparent field guides. You can precisely indicate areas to be filmed, charting camera positions, pans,
sideways movements across the scene,
and trucking moves directly in or out of the scene using compass coordinates and specific timing.
The book illustrates this with a simple instruction like 5F out to 12FC over 3 or 10 seconds, meaning the camera begins close and smoothly pulls back to a wider shot over a specific duration.
Carefully controlling the pacing and visual reveal for the audience. It's choreography.
What's truly ingenious is the wrap pan illusion, a technique revisited from earlier in the book. This is where artwork drawn on a completely flat sheet creates the breathtaking illusion of a camera rotating a full 180 degrees.
Down a long corridor or across a vast landscape, how do they do that?
The audience never sees the whole artwork at once. It's the careful, timed reveal as the camera moves over it that creates the powerful sense of a continuously unfolding space. Very clever.
And just like crafting characters, layouts begin with a story. Storyboard artists like Dean Roberts, who worked on iconic films such as Frankenweenie and Corpse Bride,
truly act as director, actor, and writer all in one. He strongly emphasizes the critical 180-degree rule to avoid viewer disorientation.
a foundational rule in filmmaking. He even shares his clever fist trick for understanding it.
If your two fists representing characters cross an imaginary line, you've crossed the line, potentially confusing the audience. Simple but effective visual.
He clearly defines essential camera language and shot types that are indispensable for any animator. Big close-up, BCU, close-up CU, medium shot, MS.
Establishing shot, ES, long shot, LS, the dramatic Dutch angle for disorientation or dramatic effect, and the high angle shot, showing something only visible from directly above.
He also clearly distinguishes between a shot, used in live action, and a scene, the animation equivalent, and how sequences are expertly built from multiple scenes. Good definitions.
The sketchbook archive and rough design is presented as a vital tool for concept drawings, allowing animators to fearlessly explore exciting camera angles and combine factual observations with pure invention and memory.
The example of Hampton House and its clever use in the film Sleuth shows how real-world factual sketches can be manipulated into unique, even bird's-eye views for animation.
Adding a layer of grounded reality to fantastical scenes. Research the environment is absolutely crucial for building credible, immersive worlds.
Understanding character personality through the objects that furnish their space, like meticulous student studies of their rented rooms, or Tomoko Masumura's incredibly detailed kitchen model for stop motion,
provides paramount information for the layout artist. Bara Mazimi's film Azule, inspired by the distinct architecture of Iranian villages, powerfully demonstrates how deep cultural research can give designs unique credibility.
Sketchbooks are also invaluable for concept designs, tonal sketches, lighting, and atmosphere, allowing artists to tease out potential lighting scenarios.
And discover any visual or animation issues very early on, saving a tremendous amount of expense down the line, catching problems early.
Multi-plane backgrounds are a classic technique used to create the illusion of incredible depth, with different layers of artwork moving at different speeds.
Tori David with Favelado's Market, for instance, beautifully used this technique, with the background layers moving slower than the foreground to reinforce that sense of receding depth.
Which eventually led to her impressive concept designs for the animated feature film Rio. Amazing trajectory.
The workbook is introduced as an absolutely vital visual archive for the entire production team. Ann Stevens and Wayne Jarman's Time Trap workbook served as a comprehensive guide,
clearly dictating the style, time period, place, and overall atmosphere for the entire production, ensuring visual consistency across all creative elements. The Production Bible.
Line art and blue sketch are critical steps in animation production due to the inherent expense of the process. Match lines and contours are meticulously used
to ensure characters sit or stand correctly within the background. The blue sketch allows for preliminary alterations and refinements.
And the assistant layout artist plays an absolutely crucial role in checking continuity and approving all changes before the final, costly line art is sent to the background painters. Gatekeepers.
Laurent Gapaillard, known for his work on films like Nine, relies heavily on his sketchbooks, which are described as soiled and beaten by obsessive handling.
A testament to their constant use. He possesses an obsessive eye for detail, able to condense and concentrate information about entire cities into powerful, symbolic layouts.
Like combining iconic landmarks from Salisbury or Winchester into a single, cohesive, and impactful image. He emphasizes feeling the quality of space, not just drawing objects.
Finally, background art is the finished painting derived from a layout. Its primary role is to provide mood and atmosphere, subtly setting the stage.
While it is secondary to the animated action, it supports it stoically, grounding the characters in a believable world.
The book demonstrates how first-year students master layering, dry brushwork, and texture by painting basic subjects like a carved boo on wood or a common drain cover.
Showing how simple subjects can teach complex techniques. Start simple, build up.
Drawing on nature is essential for background artists, too. Anne Stevens focuses on capturing subtle color and lighting in her studies of farm buildings, arboretums, and churches.
Noting that small details and oddities often find their way into her final designs, adding authenticity and character.
And Bill Perkins, a celebrated Disney background artist for Tangled, emphasizes extensive research into indigenous trees and local plant life, even for a fantasy film.
To ground our designs to the possible. He focused particularly on Rapunzel's first-time experience in sunlight, using a symbolic choice of warm colors.
Carefully rendering backgrounds to profoundly support the character's emotional journey. This dedication ensures that even the most fantastical worlds feel real and resonant. It matters.
And so, we've come full circle, from the humble scribble to the breathtaking, complex worlds of animated film.
Wow, yeah, quite a journey.
This deep dive has truly shown us that sketching, whether it's for animation or simply for personal pleasure, is an incredibly powerful tool.
For observation, problem solving, and unlocking immense creative potential within you.
We've seen how the sketchbook truly is a lifelong companion, a constant wellspring of ideas. We've explored how simple shapes and a foundational understanding of perspective form the essential building blocks.
And how drawing itself can be a dynamic performance art that deepens your connection to the world. And we've journeyed through the intricate process of world and character design.
From the very first spark of an idea to the meticulously painted final background.
The profound value in observing the world around you, in trusting your eye, and in the sheer joy of putting pencil to paper or stylus to tablet is undeniable.
It's not just about producing a polished, finished piece. It's deeply about the process itself, the pure pleasure of looking, absorbing, and creating.
Definitely. So consider this provocative thought as you go about your day.
Every single drawing you make, no matter how quick or rough, isn't just a mark on a page. It's a stored memory, a captured observation, and a potential spark for countless future stories.
What moments from your own life, if sketched right now, might unexpectedly spring back to life and inspire something entirely new down the line? Something to think about.